Hello, I'm Luke Hatfield. You join me and Lewis Cox on a Tuesday after a social media boycott. You've waited that long for your post-match analysis from this game, Shrewsbury Town 2.
You would wait for us, wouldn't you, to be honest?
Yeah, they definitely would. They definitely would. Shrewsbury Town 2, Oxford 3. Shock result at Shrewsbury Town at the Meadow.
Why did we not put the money on that?
Oh, tell me about it.
That's the question.
But that's not the big story today. The big story is certain Mr. Steve Cotterill was basically kicking every ball from the director's box.
Yeah,
He's back, and I tell you what, it made a right difference, didn't it?
Crazy. Yeah. First half, he was a bit more restrained, perhaps, but by that second half. And let's be fair, the start of the second half was quite calm. You know, the second half didn't really kick off until after an hour, but that final 20 minutes, half an hour, he was loud.
Yeah.
And telling all the players exactly what he felt. And
I don't know what his doctor made of that.
No, yeah, it can't have been good for the old heart rate, can it? That, you know, the return on a 3-2. I mean, a roller coaster game where they were behind, ahead, and then behind again. Sadly, at the end, crazy game, this way and that. But yeah, it's just so refreshing and great to have him back today at the Meadow for the first time in more than 4 months. You know, an emotional day for him. To come back and see, you know, his staff, his assistant, and his players today, and all obviously the chairman and so on, must have been, well, Aaron Wilbraham's told us there, hasn't he, really overwhelming. And for you know, you could take it from me, Steve Cotterill, he doesn't get overwhelmed, I suspect, very easily. Obviously in the very, very difficult, you know, trying position he's been in. I mean, Josh Vella said to us there, you know, he obviously they had a talk before the game. They had an emotional discussion, Cotterill and his players and the staff, telling him, the manager telling them how it has been for him over these months, how, you know, close he was to death. Josh Vella has said, which is quite, I mean, it's quite amazing, really, isn't it? It's quite, certainly takes you back to hear that. And I don't know how the players felt listening to that. I mean, emotional, but for them to listen to that, put in a performance, obviously Oxford are flying, so Oxford flying in terms of they needed to win today. It was all on the line for them, and they obviously got the result in the end. Town sort of blew up, really, didn't they? Tired, you could tell. They all mentioned having a game in midweek, whereas Oxford didn't. But what an emotional day it must have been for the manager, to see all of his players again, to have that kind of chat and talk through that, you know, they all said he was sort of he returned with the banter and sort of calling the players out and making jokes with them about how they look and all these kind of things, like he hadn't been away. So that's really nice. But God, what a day for him. Must have really taken it out of him, and he'll be driving back down to Bristol on Saturday night, won't he? And he'll sleep well tonight. Certainly, it's just so nice driving back.
Yeah, it is, and you're not going to keep him out of here now, are you? That's the thing.
No,
he's come back, and he's been in direct spots. I wouldn't be shocked if we see him in the dugout before the end of the season.
Yeah.
He'd certainly want to be down.
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, the problem with that is it'll obviously be like sort of jigging in the you know, on the technical area, and he kind of bouncing up and down. Which I guess if he's up there at the top of the Roland Wycherley stand, as he was, you know, seated in the director's box today, at least he's seated, you know? At least he can't jump over and, you know, onto the pitch or whatever. But gosh, yeah, the second half and the finale, obviously Town are 2-1 up, then Oxford sort of level it midway through the second half through James Henry. I mean, just as that 2-2 went in, Cotterill was just orchestrating a triple sub, wasn't he? So he was sorting all that out. Town was sort of starting to maybe retreat and have to really defend with a low block, and they just got unpicked for 2-2. And then, you know, the manager absolutely, I mean, he was so loud, wasn't he, with his sort of encouragement and his you know, shouting to the players, to the dugout. It was quite incredible to hear, really. You know, just almost like the 4 months haven't happened, and you like flash straight back to December where he was before he was ill, obviously with COVID. Yeah, they won't keep him away. Obviously, you know, people will be watching this on Tuesday, I guess, when it goes up. And Town play again here tonight, Tuesday night, at home to Ipswich, which is their sort of game in hand on most clubs. Last home game of the season, and then obviously finish the season on Sunday at Crewe. Yeah, the manager will be here without doubt. Aaron Wilbraham's basically confirmed that. But yeah, today, you know, just sounded so emotional before the game. That, I mean, that conversation he must have had with his players. I'm sure people have read about it in the paper and online. You know, just I say heartbreaking, but it really pulls on your heartstrings, doesn't it? And puts things into perspective, certainly, in terms of a result today in a match that realistically meant nothing for Shrewsbury. But what a game that missed fans, sadly. Just, as I said earlier, this way and that roller coaster, just crazy game.
Yeah, it was, and I'll tell you what, it was crazy for a certain 17-year-old as well.
Yeah.
Mr.
Good
Tom
point, yeah.
Bloxer, who obviously got his first start for Shrewsbury Town, his first senior start.
Yep.
How did you see him? How did he get on?
Yeah, excellent. Really exciting for the future, I think. Big, powerful, 6'4", 6'5" forward.
And can still
17.
grow at that age, by the way.
Yeah. And, he wasn't just sort of all legs, was he? And you kind of, players that tall, they're kind of rangy and sort of can't control their feet almost. His touches on the ball were excellent, exquisite. He's used in an interesting position, really. You often on the right, at times switching with Chapman to take the forward role. So versatile, clearly. And he received a lot of praise from Oxford staff too. And I think all the Town fans watching on, obviously this is a social media weekend blackout, so we can't sort of tell and relay to people how well he's done, which is so sad. But yeah, amazing debut for him. So sad it was a defeat for him, really, but he will remember that. Certainly, he gave Oxford defenders at times a torrid time, didn't he? Like, pulled them this way and that, and I think very exciting for the future.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot about him, clearly, not just his size, but his ability as well. Wins the headers. Really good to hear. Obviously, he used to be at Leicester City, I believe, as a kid, so certainly had footballing background. And we heard, didn't we, before the game, that his parents, which is a lovely line, but a kind of a sad sign of the times, really. His parents, who obviously been unable to come in here to watch his debut today, drove him to the game and were able to watch from the car park via iFollow, which is, a sad sign of the times, isn't it? But, at least they were able to be in the vicinity of his debut without quite being in here. But yeah, what a day for him. Obviously didn't get on the score sheet. We'll go through the scorers: Matthew Pennington and the second scorer was
Josh Vella.
Yeah, just testing it. We've only just interviewed him. How can I forget that?
I don't know.
Josh Vella, who we've just interviewed, of course, scored the second, which had Town 2-1 up at half time.
Yeah.
But they couldn't hold on. So.
Yeah, couldn't. One other positive though, to finish on, Lewis. Aaron Pierre was back, and he was back at his best. I thought he had a really good performance, despite conceding 3 goals.
Yeah, he was certainly second half. He won, just kept winning the headers, didn't he? He's been missed badly. In 3 months he's been out, so, almost exactly 3 months. He came back and played 1 game at Northampton on Good Friday, and that was, to be honest, a game worth forgetting for everyone's point of view. Really a bad defeat. Then I think the next game here he was going to play, wasn't he? He was on the team sheet, but then he sort of didn't appear. And we thought, what's happened now again? This calf injury, and he seemed to break down again, and he's been missing for a few weeks. But he was back today. We thought it might have been Tuesday, but he made it today. Superb. He's so influential for Town. He's, in my opinion, by some way their best defender, most important. So they've been really hampered without him. As you can see by just how dominant he is, winning defensive headers, but also, he's a threat in the opposition box. He's going to be big for the last couple of games, and a big summer ahead, perhaps for him. And there's been reports in previous transfer windows about interest in Aaron Pierre. You can see why his performances have merited it. And will he have suitors in the summer? I think there's probably every chance. It'd be great, really great if Town could keep hold of him. But hopefully fans can see him here next season. But we'll see on that one. Superb today. Great to have him back. Even better to have the manager back. Surreal day with him in the director's box behind us in that second half, heading every ball, kicking every ball, living every second of it. And just a wild, kind of crazy, emotional day, I suppose, for him.
Yeah, certainly. So good to have Steve Cotterill back. Unfortunately, not a win for Shrewsbury Town. You know where to go for all your Shrewsbury Town news. Shropshire Star.com.